Alright guys, in this one I'm taking you through some twists and turns in this story, but this is going to be a 3-part series, so take that for what you will. But if you haven't seen part 1, I think it's great if you could go and watch that first so you know what's going on. Basically, I'm looking for a Pre-CBS Strat, and it didn't go as expected in the first episode, but it'd be cool if you go and check it out. But yeah, we've got some fun to be had in part 2. But some unexpected things are also going to happen, so just be prepared for that. All right, cheers. What the actual Yeah, I don't think you were probably expecting that. A Sonic Blue 1964 Refin. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. This journey certainly didn't go where I expected, but it hasn't finished yet. I think I should answer a few questions before we carry on and explain how this happened. I've had a lot of questions like, why do you want a vintage guitar? What are you looking for? And if I take those questions on face value, what I'm looking for is a good instrument that I enjoy the nostalgia and the perceived story of. What's most important? Well, I had a good chat with Aynsley, who came to the shop with me. He's done a lot of searching for old guitars and finding good ones, and ultimately, for him, the most important aspect is the instrument. How does it sound and how does it play? And I wasn't certain that was important for me until I started playing some of the ones in the shop, because you have to make certain compromises for some of these instruments because they've lived a life, right? They ideally, some of them would have a little bit of work, but you also, at this point, you don't want to change what's original, so it's a tough position to be in. So I want playability, and I want sound, and I want the instrument to be in reasonably good condition. This is what I didn't quite get. I don't think it would be that easy to find a well-worn looking 60-year-old guitar that also hasn't been worn in lots of other ways. Take the 1958 model that was there. It's had a refret with huge frets, and that means it plays really well, actually, if you like huge frets, which a lot of people do. But the fretboard has been sanded down a lot. The first 3 markers, maybe even 4, are not really there anymore. It's got a hell of a vibe. It looks so cool. It actually sounds really good. It's got a little repair under the bridge where the wood, I think, has had to be reformed or restructured or something. I think I was wrong, actually, in the last video. I need to hold my hands up. I said I was confused that it was the same price as some of the other ones. It wasn't. I had the prices wrong. It was actually a fair bit cheaper, about 15% cheaper than the other ones. And a 58 obviously would generally be a bit more expensive than the others if it was in as good a condition. So I think for someone that is going to be a really cool guitar to have. I was just concerned as to what its future will be if you want to play it a lot. How much work will you need to do? So yeah. So we went through that whole series of things, and what did I gather from it, really? First of all, I play amps loud, so it was really difficult in the shop for me playing at 2 and 3 on my amp. The amp needs to be above 4.5 to really spark, and then above 5 to really start to live properly, and that's where I live at home, at 5.5, 6. It was difficult sitting there in the shop to make such a big decision. You know, I had to drive a couple of hours each way, and I had to get back to London for an appointment, so I couldn't go and just take an hour's walk and have a think about it. But what happened after I tried all of those was there were a bunch of other guitars on the wall that I hadn't really looked at, because some of them were from the early 70s, late 60s, some of them were refins, that means refinished, so it's been repainted. That loses a lot of value from the guitar, probably 30 or 40%, if not more, depending. And actually that can be a great thing, because it's still an expensive guitar, but you're getting the same instrument for half the money, essentially. So yeah, there's some clips of me playing various different ones, just very briefly. And I'll come back and answer a couple more questions before we carry on. I don't want to buy a Refin. I normally have the amp on 6, so it's sort of trying to... It's funny how they all sort of got more Stratty as it went forward, and I hadn't actually listened to any of that until just now. Those guitars all sounded really good, more recognisable in some ways to a lot of the Strats that I've actually played more recently. And I think if I was a gigging musician, that 71, which costs about 10 grand, would be a lovely guitar to have. It sounds really, really great. It's got a bit of a vibe to it. Yeah, I liked it. But yeah, so I played that lot, and then I was going back and forth between all the other older ones. And here's the funny thing is, when the master builts and the custom shops that I've tried and stuff like that, they're like fantasy versions of what if the old ones had sounded like this, and then the master built and custom shop ones use pickups now that aren't exactly like those old ones, understandably. Why should they have to be? Like, you can come up with new stuff, but in a way that the sounds that we're getting out of Strats now are slightly more exaggerated, bigger sounding, more vibrant, and yeah, that's great. I love it. That's why I've got guitars like that. I've had people saying to me, why on earth are you buying a vintage guitar? Master-built guitars are just better. In some ways, yes. I'm not a black and white person. I'm a very emotion-driven person. So I'm not the sort of person that is ever going to say, yes, I agree with you on that. Because A, I don't. And B, I don't do certain opinions. Certainly when it comes to what other people should think. I think everything I say has space for change in me, progress, thought, And so, like, if I want to buy a vintage guitar, there's lots of reasons, but ultimately, none of them might correlate to why you think I shouldn't buy a vintage guitar, okay? Like, I hope that makes sense. There's nothing hostile here in what I'm saying. I do this channel to be open to everyone's opinions. I quite enjoy it. But ultimately, this is a really personal journey. And yeah, we'll come back to these thoughts more as the series progresses. This blue guitar, hey? What happened there? Well, you heard me say that in that demo, I don't want to buy a Refin. And in fact, when I first got to the shop, the guys there were showing me some of the guitars and I said, which ones are the Refins? I don't really want those, because you can't put the original finish back on. It might not seem important, but if part of the reason you're buying a guitar like this is the story, the nostalgia, the originality, the authenticity, then Refins don't make sense. If you're buying it because you want the sound, the feel, the look, Refins are great. I have no problem with Refins on the whole. There's no reason they shouldn't be done, and they do make it more affordable. And this blue guitar sounded really good. So I sat there for ages. I haven't got any footage of it. Just like plugging away at it while we were all chatting a lot. And yeah, there was something nice and hairy about the neck pickup. There was something about it. But yeah, I think I need to move the story on a bit here. I'm just going to go and get something else. Okay, if you didn't see the Refin coming, you probably didn't see a 1956 Les Paul Jr. with a bit of headstock damage that made it more affordable. Neither did I. The Refin was half the price, actually slightly under half the price of what I was expecting to spend that day, and so I had a bit of time to look around the shop. At this point, we were pretty much packing up for the day, and in fact Aynsley was in the middle of buying a vintage bass, and I was just sort of like looking around, not thinking about much, and just picked it off the wall. Did you see the crazing on that thing? It's beautiful. It is beautiful. There weren't any pedals plugged into there. It was just the Vibrolux on 4, and that thing sounds like a gated fuzz. It's great. What more can I say about it? It's funny, it's got this weird fish pattern below the bridge. I tried to get it in the first clip of that guitar. So like, it was probably a church guitar, played at a church or something, it's got like that fish like that. Who knows? Who knows the story of it? I've talked about it on the channel a lot before. I even did a poll once, what single pickup guitar should I get? Couldn't decide between Esquire, SG Junior or Les Paul Junior. And this one was not expected, but it just was there. And I thought, I'm not going to see that again easily. Like, it was $5,000 less than it would be without the headstock break, and it wasn't like a full headstock break. It was like a part that had come off and been put back on. So much vibe. But this is where we take another twist. It's now 2 days since I came home with the blue Refin and the lovely Les Paul Jr. And my mind hasn't stopped racing about it all since then. I feel like I left a kid behind at the supermarket, you know, like it was interesting. There were so many comments from the first video basically saying it's really good that you just didn't buy one for the sake of it. And it's complicated. Like, I don't want to sort of let down this idea that I was being really sensible. I was trying to be as sensible as you can be. Some people tell me they've looked through tried dozens over many years to get the right guitar. Some people saying, don't bother with the vintage. Some people saying, just keep looking, more will come up. Here's the thing, okay? These two guitars are going back to ATB. I'm going back there in 2 days. Well, assuming this comes out on Wednesday, I'm going on Friday. And I'm going to be coming back with one of those 4 early Strats. We're going to talk about which one and why exactly that one in the last video of this series. But I couldn't leave this part without telling you that, because that would just be me toying with you. I'm not trying to do that. I can't get on with this Refin. It sounds good, pretty good. I'd say it does. It's a good guitar. You know, it's not mind-blowingly good. And sitting and looking at it, I contacted John Case and I asked him if he'd do a Refin for me. The real reason I actually bought that guitar in the end was I sat there and I thought, I have been for ages thinking I want to have a white Strat with a green pickguard, because I've got the one my parents gave me, the first guitar I've got, which is here, and I want one with a nitro finish. And I thought, wow, this guitar's neck, the 64 neck, is much thinner than the 63. It's like a medium C, and it's very similar to my 89 Strat. The whole body shape and size of it is exactly like the 89. So in 89 they must have been looking back to 64. Now this has plastic dots, not clay dots, and you know there are differences. What if I had the blue one refinned in Olympic white and then let it age for years, and it'd be like an homage to that guitar and to my parents starting me off on this. So I've been toying with that for 2 days. But ultimately, here's the thing, I'm always honest on this channel. This video might be a bit of a slow watch, to be honest. I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to get this whole thought process over. It's not been as simple as I thought. Some of you who've been through this probably know you're spending more money than you expected on a guitar. You want to get it right. And I've been feeling a bit nervous about it for 2 days. Because actually there was a guitar there that was good enough for me. I'm going to explain that in the next video. But this is my one chance probably in 5 years to have just this cash sitting there that I've not invested in something else or need to invest or spend on something else. And here's the thing, I was just talking to Aynsley earlier actually this morning about this. I want my buying journey to be over. All buying. I want to go back to just buying the odd pedal because it's a bit of fun. I bought so many amps and so many guitars. Yeah, woe is me, world's smallest violin. I'm not saying that because I haven't loved it. I've enjoyed this so much. But it's time to just put my money where my mouth is and get better and better and better at the guitar. And I've literally I've run out of funds for spending big anymore on guitars now. 2 Masterbuilts, the Gold SG, the R0 Les Paul, the Vibrolux, the Bartel Roseland, the Matchless. I'm just talking about this year. It's gone a little bit silly. Now, I've sold quite a few things as well, so sort of balanced it out, but it's still just gone a bit mad. I want to just get back to playing and enjoying and thinking about the style and the creativity and interesting ideas for videos that aren't about buying stuff. So if I'm being very honest with you, I'm buying one of these guitars for many reasons. One of those reasons is I don't want to spend 2 years looking for one. I haven't got the energy for that or the patience for it. And I think I found a guitar that actually was really fantastic. I didn't give it a chance. So you're going to see which one that is. There's not a lot more to say in this. I want to say more in the last video and obviously show off what it is. But yeah, I'm not playing with you guys. It's this ups and downs is actually what's going on this week. I'm happy that it'll be over this week. And I'll be able to move forward. And like I've seen other people say in forums and all over the place, just because you expect this journey with a vintage guitar to be I found the one guitar. There's a chance of that. There's also a chance I get to be custodian of this guitar for 3 or 4 years, move it on, and come across the one, if this isn't the one, later. But doesn't mean I can't spend some time learning what it's like to live with one of these. So I'm really looking forward to, I've got to go back to ATB in 2 days. Yeah, if any of you have made this far in this video, I hope you found that interesting. I really bought those 2 guitars with a genuine belief that they were for me, and if I had the money I would keep that Junior, but having to put all my money that I've got left right now in this section of my life into this last guitar, so I have to take the Junior back, which is sad because it's beautiful. I love it. It's so simple. So I know now that I will one day have a good single pickup guitar with a P90, an old P90, man. God, it sounds good. If I was going to record something sort of Delta blues style, roots, American roots music, I'd love to use that sort of guitar. It just sounds so cool. Don't even need a fuzz pedal. Anyway, I am rambling on. I'll see you in a couple of days. I think it will be worth coming back to watch that one. So I'll see you then. Cheers. Bit loud now. Shame.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because this kind of